Ladies and gents, welcome to Question Time Live again, episode 123. It feels like an age since I've been back on here, since a burst of rants as well, but it's not been without good reason. Be quite honest about it. Been having a bit of a time of it in business. Not everybody can relate. Those that are out there that do operate their own business will be able to. At times you've just got to dig deep, and we've been in the trenches a little bit, to say the least. Creaking again under a bit of pressure. You add to that dimension livestock. Last shipment that come in been a little bit of a tricky one as well. That's probably that's been the most energy zapping and absorbing one. Very nasty batch of sleeping sickness that's took a hell of a lot of work and energy to get right. It's a hell of a dynamic. So in amongst that, still this side of it, the channel, just a few bits, a lot all seeming to go on at the same time. So unfortunately, some of them days when it comes to it, there's just not been the energy there, or even the time in amongst it all as well. So I do apologize if it's left a big hole in your evening viewing, even throughout the week as the videos come and the lives. I always do try my best, but it's been a testy one. Japan, obviously, I've not even managed to make it to that one. We've really just one of them decisions. Japan's an interesting one for me this time of year, and there's Mickey on it straight away. Anyway, that might start the topic. A lot of my schedule for this autumn revolved heavily around, obviously, the harvest of my Miss Toyota fish, the harvest of my 2 other NND mud ponds as well. It's the main focus for me. And when the dates come in for that anyway, I was actually quite a bit of relief. And it was pretty much, getting later on towards the end of this month, which, to be honest, I did take a breath at that point. I think, thank fuck, because the thought of going away, I was just kicking it. I wasn't booking anything. You kick it down the curb a little bit. Wife's going crazy at me, wanting to know where I'm going, and it's just round and round and round. But it would have been nice to be there and getting stuck in, but responsibilities come first, and that's where we've been at. So anyway, I hope you're all well. I hope koi keeping is a little bit more stress-free for you guys as it's been for me just of late. And yes, I am not immune whatsoever. Obviously, importing fish is a little bit different. It comes with a lot of risk, bits and bobs. So, we deal with it, but it's no less stressful when it happens. And normally, stuff in isolation is not too bad, but when it happens at scale, whew, there we go. So I'm hoping Aaron's actually coming back over on Saturday for us to actually do some more filming, because I am not enjoying seeing the channel where it's at right now. But that's judging it by my own standards, and I think it's fair to say it's pretty intense. The rate I generally keep stuff coming out, but it's because I enjoy it, and not having it there, it's quite frustrating. But we'll get there with that one, I'm quite sure. Temperatures. Interesting. Temperatures are in an interesting spot at the minute, aren't they? Let's face it. We've had some cold. We've had really warm. It's just reminded me of when I've said that we've had the boiler issues in amongst it all as well. Obviously, that's been a nightmare. But new system, wow. I mean, to see something work so effortlessly. And now all that clout and grunt have got more information than ever as well, with different valves and stats and all the rest of it. So yeah, nice to have that fully commissioned now and working properly. So yeah, the hoodie, getting closer with a few bits, guys. But this has been one of my favorites. I'm wearing it because I forgot how fucking cold it is in here. I walked in and was like, that's not coming off. I've got a t-shirt on underneath. This is actually the soft shell jacket, and I have loved this one. So we've got the little all in black logo on, got the little no wrong way look, little piece on the arm, and then you should be able to see it. The little emblem on the hood. Love that one. Little touches. So that one might be on the list. Be a bit pricey, these ones, man. No expense spared on either the jacket or the embroidery. So yeah, let's wait and see. So, ladies and gents, you need to get me some questions fired in. For one, some other very, very good news in the progress relating to Koi Talk. I have, there's been an interesting stuff with this because you've seen how much you get me on here, you get me talking about Koi, I can go non-stop. There's always something, a topic thing, but I've always had an issue with it when it comes to writing. I would put this laptop on my knees, try and start typing. I get a page deep and just knackered. It goes, nothing happens. And I've been trying a few different things to fire it up. Voice notes, playing around with AI, all kinds of things, and still not quite hitting it off either. Then I thought, you know what, the other day, I'm going to go fucking old school because I do this with quite a few things. And I bought a pen, nice little biro. Can't use wetting because I'm left-handed. It's a disaster. And a notebook. And within, I think, no more probably than the combined about 6 hours have I smashed out 3,500 words on my keep it simple philosophy, combined with now already being 2 pages deep into an article all about Sakai Fish Farm. So I think very, very soon we're going to have some massive progress on that front, and I can't wait. And then in other positive news, one of the tech side of stuff development we're working on. Oh my God, I honestly wish I could share it with you, but I'm not going to give it away. I had some at land in my inbox today, a little video of something working, and it blew my mind. I cannot wait till this is real enough that you guys can get your hands on it. I think it's going to be amazing. So yeah, it's just, I would say, an emotional roller coaster, but that's pretty much business full stop. Never mind when you throw a fish farm at scale into the mix as well. So there we have it. Right, ladies and gents, like I say, need questions. I think Mickey's one that I've seen is probably going to take a chunk of time, to be honest with you. So let's have a look. Somebody got one in early here. Is there a correct answer or consensus as to when a koi should be called a Nisai rather than a Tosai? If the fish hatches in May 25, when would it be correct to call it Tosai, Nisai, Sanzai, etc.? Yeah, I've answered. I've answered a few times. Anyway, this fucking bizarre Japanese system that throws everybody off. That's why myself in the groups recently, I've just gone to putting it in months because it's far simpler and gives you actually a greater insight into where the fish is actually at. Because you got this Tosai, which, bearing in mind that 1 year old in Japanese is Isai, and then you step to Nisai at 2. So this Tosai is all around basically like first summer. I think is the concept that where that comes from. Now, doesn't help you guys because when it gets to now, pretty much October, and the harvest start in Japan, everything they pull out the mud ponds at Nisai, 2 years old, they so Tosai right now, a proper Tosai is one that's been born this year. So from like April, May, probably more likely May of this year. Is Tosai. Now, obviously, it's not a full year old. A lot of them will be 3 months, 4 months. Some could have been spawned in August. So it gets tricky. It gets complicated. So then, yeah, the Tosai from last year are now being harvested at Nisai, but they're only actually 18 months old at most, 17, 18, all around that. So you see your problem there, that all of a sudden, even to see, it's 2 years old, you're translating that as 24. Now, there's a big difference there. Six months is a chunk of time. So I think the months part is far kind of better to go with. But yes, what you want to be careful of right now is, and I think this is the angle where you get a bit worried, is kind of like the mis-selling. So Tosai being sold as Nisai. Tosai still being sold as Tosai when technically the Nisai. They're kind of, in that 17, 18-month-old bracket. Not everybody's going to know. Obviously, a lot of the breeders I deal with, I know the spawning patterns roughly, so I know in months accurately how old these fish are. Not everybody's going to be up to speed with that entirely. Bear that in mind. So I think the bit here is probably giving you a bit of a tip as well in what you can look out for, because smaller Nisai can form slightly differently. But the biggest thing is you'll find is there'll not be a lot of new Tosai. Bear in mind, I've got new season Tosai from this year's spawn swimming around. There will be the colour's very different. You don't get rich, intense colour on them at this point. It's just not had the time to develop. So if you're seeing, stuff as Tosai and it's looking all rich coloured, absolutely popping, likelihood it's something that's technically now in that Nisai bracket. So I hope that helps answer that and give you guys a bit of awareness around it as well. Would any water conditions cause a Goshki to drop its Benny in a matter of weeks? I have a high KH here and a new Tosai Goshki from Iokia dropped its Benny completely in July. Could it return? It depends what's happened to it. Now, you can stress colour. If you stress colour, and it could be that it's had a big temperature bump, something along them lines, or any other form of stress. Heat stress is a real thing. Cold stress is a real thing. List goes on. It could be a change in light it's reacted to, or just environmental change can be enough. Then you can stress it where it lightens and that can pull back. If it's actually physically breaking apart and gone, then no. And the likelihood is with something like that is it was possibly always a fish that didn't actually have the colour potential. You might start pushing it a bit all of a sudden and it started pulling apart. Very common with Goshki. They're a tough variety. Hence why the good ones, when they're older, cost a pretty penny. Evening, Andy. How you doing? Sean, evening. Terry, Paul, Jason, how we all doing? Oh, so kind, Mickey. Oh, anyway, I don't know if we've had that picture you see in Mickey's profile there is his Dainichi mail shower. And in fact, I'll tell you what, let's give a minute. I should be able to transfer this over because I got a few updates from Hiroshi at Dainichi Toyota the other day. Stopped me in my tracks, to be fair. One fish in particular, which I've not shared with anybody yet, has distracted me beyond belief. Here it is. Let's see if I can ping that over to my laptop. So that there is a super male shower, yes, that Mickey bought off me. And I mean, what a fish it is. Let's see if I can get it up on here. It's a really interesting story with that, and I'm going to share it now as well. I think I have shared it before, but one well worth re-looking at, given the conversation now we've just had around small Nisai, or Nisai that would be technically small because of the time of year. Oh, let's have a look. Drop it on there. Boom. Oh, boom is all I've got for you on that one. Now 60, was it 66 cm, I think, was the size on that. Now this fish, when I got this fish, this was from out the auction as a Tosai, unsexed. I didn't know at the time. And Hiroshi took it upon himself to kind of bonsai raise it for the koi show. So it didn't do a lot the first year. Even the second year, he kind of persevered with it. And I got to seeing it. I might lose track of the periods here. It went on. Anyway, I got to see it, and it looked like a weed, is all I can tell you. Stretched out, done. And I'm thinking, even at that point, I'm thinking, nah, this is done for this now. We've gone down a path here. Admittedly, it's not worked out. This fish has had it. And I sort of writ it off. And then I don't know what happened or changed. He just went to grow it then. It was like, right, he had a pond for male fish set out, put it in. I got to it last autumn. Was it last autumn? Again, I might have lost track of dates. Anyway, that particular autumn that ensued. And I was like, holy fuck, what have you done to that? The centimeters it piled on, the body it piled on over that season. You know, people write these fish off, you know, as a smaller Nisai or Sanzai. Just went ballistic, and it's gone even more ballistic this year again. To the point where last year it challenged All Japan, I think. I can't remember if we had a go at the Wakagoi. I think we got a second or third prize. I can't remember. I'm actually thinking this year where it's gone, it's got even more of a chance. There's a bit of sumi on the shoulder, just behind the back of the head, that wasn't there. It's forming new. Because you forget, you know, these fish are still relatively young, and that's still refining and getting better. But what a piece, you know. Well done, Mickey, for trusting me on that one. That's yeah, and Hiroshi is just doing a phenomenal job over there. You should see some of the other stuff. I think I have shared them all on here before, but absolute madness. Love what the guy does. Danichi Toyota for me is right in that top tier as it stands. Obviously now with my just the fish I've raised, I've had such success at the place overall with I love the care, the attention to detail. It's when you start, I've seen a depth of quality in there that I really love and I'm really drawn to. Sometimes comes where you're compromising on pattern a bit. I think Danichi Nagata, yes, obviously the depth of quality is there. I see something a little bit different in Toyota fish. And for me, where I think commercially, Danichi Nagata kind of start focusing, you know, on getting the pattern a bit flashier and all the rest of it. Hiroshi's just wanting to make real depth of quality. And you can see these fish going on for years and years. You know, I've got an 88 centimeter koaku of a client's there, Kinsen, that I've had since Nisai. That fish alone has grown 6 centimeters in a year from 82 to 88. Phenomenal. You know, so, and I get drawn to stuff like that. Obviously, now my parent fish, Miss Toyota's from there. I can see there being 2 or 3 other potential parent fish I have coming from there. I've got a shower that I invested in 2 years ago, and she could quite possibly be ready to go and kick ass at the All Japan, even this year, next year. Sorry. So exciting. Love the place. Really highly rate it. And just from what you can see there, look, the quality is there to back it up. Just from a personal side of it as well, it's nice because I haven't been able to build a rapport with him, which is nice because it's a little bit colder and frostier and more commercial than the Nichi Nagata side, you know, a lot more transactional. And there's value in that stuff. You know, I picked some info up with him. He's been happy to share. And I love the backstory the guy's got with that operation. Very, very admirable. Good evening. Gary Fisher, Saki Akara users, do your bags of standard balance have temperature 18 degrees on them? Yes, Gary, that is normally what it says on there. I have mentioned this several times. The thing with the food is it's a lot lower fat. When you're getting into these cool temperatures, your feeding level should be so heavily reduced that the minimal amount of that food you'll be putting in, I don't see a problem. When you're starting to get into the real cold stuff, generally there should be next to no feeding going on, because bottom line is, even if your fish will eat it, your filters aren't ready to handle it. You've got to be ultra careful. So with the quantities you're going to be feeding, you're never going to cause any harm. Crikey. A lot of you in as always. Amazing to see. I don't know, Jack. I'll keep saying it. What I've got going on in Japan needs to happen before any of that can happen. But then sort of very actively when that does, we can look to something, partnership, something like that, get something going at the least. But my plans in Japan there's a lot kind of hinges on that piece of the jigsaw happening. Evening, Phil. How are you, mate? Conditioning koi for shows. Yeah, the interesting bit with this for me is that I think this is really and so many different, when you really drill into this at super professional level, it's about deciding the needs of the fish. You're playing around with size classes. This can be on a really individual basis, and fish needing to be on different programs. When you've got one pond, it gets a lot trickier. But general things is you've got to try and figure out a proper program for the pond sort of 12 months in advance. what makes it tricky, as I mentioned before, is how the show season in the UK especially is dumped right in the middle of the season when you want to be doing the growing. That is what it is. You just have to work around it. So that program needs to be tailored. And that's a program of, do you need to build up for body? Because then we'll be manipulating temperatures and food diets in a different way, working on color. Before a show, generally for conditioning, obviously you've got to bear in mind you do need a proper period of a minimum 5 days without food. And that 5 days you've got to balance here, because 5 days with water too warm and no food, you will lose that extra bit of percentage of body mass that could be the prize winner for you quite easily. So you've almost, for me, you kind of overfeeding going into that period. So you make sure you've got a bit in the bank for that stage of it. Then you've obviously got a run coming out of growth where you move into skin conditioning. And for skin conditioning there, you might be wanting to pump up the Bene, which you're likely going to tank the Shiroji a bit. And then you want to condition the Shiroji out. All the meanwhile, obviously keeping ultimate water conditions, because you want minimal stress. Don't want any pinking in that skin. That's where balancing food comes in as well. And getting that mucus in the healthiest condition, the shine just right there. Hi, Ricky. It's koi harvest season. How have you seen things change over the years during this time? Have you noticed an increase in the number of dealers or hobbyists visiting? Cost impact? 100%, Mickey. So you might ask yourself why I'm not rushing out like others are to get to the harvest season this year. You've probably gathered by now I do things very, very differently. And I'm actually this time of year even more grateful for how I do things based on how I have seen things change. Obviously, I've been going for a very, very long time now. And back in the day when, breeders had so much time, the amount of time you wouldn't get that much done in a day because you'd be sat having coffee, you'd be having lunch, you name it. Now that I've still kept alive in a lot of places, and it's probably why you tend to see me get drawn in certain places, because I think that social aspect of it is really nice and really important as well. But yeah, right now, it's a fucking bloodbath, to tell you the truth, getting fish. And what are people actually fighting over? Because here's the interesting bit. The fights come over the stuff everyone can afford. What I would call just the, nice fish, kind of mid-level fish, slightly bit better than that. This is where you've seen all the chopstick drawing contests. You've got fish houses heaving to the back doors with people drawing chopsticks to pick a fish. For me, is just not where it's at. And I've kind of seen all this developing, and I am massively turned off by it. I'm massively turned off by the way it's just a rat race constantly for getting these fish off breeders, and how a lot of them have just lapped it up as well. And rightly so, they're the guys producing them. But you just see things, where you used to count on relationships to get you, up the pecking order a bit. And I get all the politics, that's involved in that as well. There's a group of agents in between it all, which I can only probably liken to blood-sucking vampires a lot of the time, because, a lot of what happens, is dictated and controlled a lot by them guys as well. Very, very happy that I'm not involved in any of that stuff. But the real bit is just it's lost a lot of the soul for me, and it's obviously massively transactional now. It is a business, don't get me wrong. It's exactly that, but it's not how I like to do koi. But it is how it's being done. For me, it's getting them batches of fish, and ultimately, it's what comes out of it. The rat race, like I say, is for the affordable stuff. And that's what you're seeing people queuing up in fish houses for. I think it was I didn't go last autumn, the year before that with Hoshkin, when he introduced all of a sudden, beer at this time, it's Nisai release, and you got your chopsticks and all that. So I was up, you see this typical me, I'm up in mountains at Kansuke, fucking loving life. Nobody there, having a natter with him, admiring his fish. Away we go. I get down to Oshkin, it's just fucking pure bedlam. People everywhere. And I'm looking at what's in the bowls and just thinking, and the weird bit is at that level, they are fish there that would be upwards, 800 up to maybe £2,000 in the market. So not actually cheap fish. But compared to what's in the pond where I actually ended up buying a fish, so they're all fighting outside. I'm just looking for odd special piece. And obviously there's just a couple of guys stood staring at all them in the back pond. There's no fight or chopsticks for them ones. And I walked in and got the fish that I wanted, hassle free. And that was time then. I waited till everyone had gone, got the fish up, had a good look. You get your stuff done with breeder, happy days. That's for me where it's at. So yeah, it's changed massively, Mickey. Has it impacted prices? No, that's the interesting thing. Breeders and their prices, I actually think they're always incredibly fair with that and consistent. I think the big thing is obviously auctions. You see it. I mean, the last Sakai auction just gone, I had 2 days in that auction room again. I mean, that was new Tosai with their Azakari options and the fucking prices. Well, let me tell you now, I mean, we're generally 17, I think it was 15 to probably 20 cm, the average. There was over 300 lots and the worst fish in the auction. And to say the worst fish probably weren't a terrible fish. I'm not seeing it as being anything particularly special in future. Would have probably stung you £1,500 all said and done. Just take that in for a minute. And then at the other end of it, the highest end, you're talking getting on for £15,000. It was fucking bonkers, So, and that's the kind of world I like to play in. Getting that stuff wasn't happening at all. I managed to get 2 pieces and bust my balls for them. Even some of the bids I was going up to, I shocked myself because at one point I had to stop and have a reality check because I'm thinking, right, if I'm basing this on how this has been in the past being last year, and I expect it to be here, but right now it's not, it's here. What do I do? Do I miss out or do I just fucking get balls deep? So as ever, I thought, well, let's get balls deep. And in some instances, went probably the best parts of 80% over where I was and comfortable at being. And I still didn't win it, And it was, like I say, it's not just one piece, it's across the whole 300 lots. When I do the auctions, I make a watch list. I review every single fish. I make a watch list, like a favorites list. And then when I'm in the auction, I only focus on them fish. I don't dip out. I don't buy on price because something is going low. I stay out of it. All the work's done before. I watch what's in there. And it was a bloodbath. I did dip out at 1 minute just to go, is it just the fish I've picked? Are they more popular? Oh no, it was just mental. So that bit at Sakai, you think, well, that is what it is, because hats off to them for the product they create, the level it's at, and just how fucking good it is and how popular it is. Fair play. The rest of it is really, it's like, this rat race. There's not a lot of time for anything, and it's all scrapping to get a bowl of fish when. The other side of it, my plans when I get out there, I've got my own ponds to harvest, which is massively exciting. That's all stuff and work that's gone in over the summer to avoid that rat race. There's another deal you're going to see come to fruition, which I can't wait to share, which is, again, all work done over the summer. And something that, I think it's just going to be amazing. And then obviously what I do with the Tosai batches, all that's going on. And for the past 2 weeks, I've just had my head into Tosai at farms where I've got stuff going on. Stuff that's actually quite well tied up as well, which is nice, where I can enjoy it. We enjoy the process. There's a bit of planning in it, almost with one of the guys to the point where, having a chat about what he's even thinking of producing, which is pretty cool. I love that. And, with them guys, it's a slightly different. They're not quite got into that commercial tier. They're the guys that get battered this time of year. Shinodas, Isas, Terrazos, all the rest of it, just swarms and swarms of people on it. So, and that's just for me personally, bearing in mind, 23 years of visiting there. I've seen a lot of dynamic shift, and, you just ultimately go and do what you enjoy. I think from the buying perspective, though, with like the size of Nisai and shipping, I just truly believe in what I'm doing over here. And for me, that's what provides the enjoyment. Working hard to make sure I've got those best Tosai batches to bring back here and do it. Because in my opinion, you guys have seen them. A lot of the fish I'm producing here are exactly the same quality level. They're the same sizes. Some, in some instances, I would say better than the breeders themselves are now putting out at this time of year. Because ultimately, it depends on how they're raising, how their summer goes. I've got a lot more control to it. There's a lot. And I think one of the things I do like as well, you're out there paying these sums for these Nisai. And generally, when you get experience, you know how they also react when they hit water in the UK. But the fish I've been raising, I've been able to study and follow the progress for at least 6 months, seeing how they've reacted over here in our water as well, and followed the journey. I've got a very good understanding of how them fish have progressed, not just got it in quarantine, passed it over to you for all that shit to go wrong, so yeah, it's an interesting one, but this is why you tend to see me. And obviously, like with Takano, I've let him down. I'm going to be in trouble because he told me I needed to be there on the 15th, which is today, and I needed to stay for a month just to help him. I wish that would even be real. But just that experience, that one-to-one. I like with the, NND is a big operation, but I'm obviously lucky I've got that with them guys as well. So, and it just boils down to that experience. So, yeah, I'm sure for a lot of people, they love it. Obviously, it's more open to hobbyists, but I think ultimately it's that busy that time of year. In some instances, you want to pick and choose the right timing, and just have something where it's not swarming with people. But that's for me. I mean, is there anybody here who's been experienced it, done? You might tell me different, but yeah. And it's still crazy, you do all that messing around and the top pieces are still already going to places where you don't even get a look. I feel quite blessed that I've got a little bit of that going on myself in a few places, not to the scale of like Narita, but all that's happening out there right now. I'm here busy working. I've got me Tosai in mud ponds. We're getting stuff tied up. And still at 3 farms, I've had Nisai sent to me this morning, fresh from harvest before anybody's seen them, and bagged a few pieces. And even something so spectacular at one farm that if it's harvested well, got first refusal for a client. And that was all because of where I was in the summer, you're just chatting away, eating a bit of melon, I think it was. And boom, you get into fish on phones. So, Cool stuff. But for me, don't forget, I'm an absolute coin nut at heart, and I value that experience, that time. And yeah, I'm just, I actually said to Chris here the other day when we were talking, is that I think if it come down to it, me having to do it how it's done now, I'm not quite sure I would still be doing it. I think there's a reason you've seen me, as well as, probably shifting the way I am even now to the point of getting that breeding part done, because that excites me, being able to produce and have all them levels, just have the control, the time to assess and enjoy it and take it in as well. So I hope that answers that, Mickey. That was quite a long one, but yeah, and to obviously put in it all, you just see a lot of people generally not quite respecting the culture the same as well around these fish out. Just once upon a time, you'd make an appointment to go to a place and you would go. That'd be it. You'd have your bit of time with the breeder, you'd get your shit done, happy days. And then it kind of got looser as more people started to self-drive and get around. And now you get to the point where, yeah, it's just a free-for-all, just rock up, start doing whatever you're doing. I mean, Marihiro's place this time of year, it's like a hangout spot. And I don't think even he knows how to whip it in, people pulling stuff out, and it's, yeah, not for me, but that's me. I'm sure a lot of people absolutely love it, and rightly so. There's, especially if you're seeing it for the first time or two, and if there's no pressure on it from a business aspect, you might look at it differently. But from that business side of it, which is where I've come on, it's, for me, it's just, yeah, not the one. Evening. What's the reason for my fish going pink? Dennis, I can't just answer that easily. There's a kind of magnitude of reasons there. Water quality. I would say water quality and parasites would be your first two to look into there, and then after that you might need to delve deeper. But obviously, generally, it's a stress reaction to something that you've got to pinpoint. See some stunning koi from Coda this year. Can you tell us about the farm, the man, and the bloodlines? Yes, Coda. So a lot of his bloodlines is his own stuff now. I think Coda is second generation. His father still kicks around, helping him. I do a lot with Coda. He's a great guy, and I hats off. He's a grafter. He's a real grafter. He loves it. He pretty much runs it now. So his dad's in background. He has now got a staff. He used to do it on his own a lot of the time, and yeah, so many varieties. I can't even recall them all. I mean, just Ginrin Showa, Ginrin Kohaku, Goshki, Ginrin Goshki. He's now doing Ginrin Goshki Showa. And they're throwing Kage Showa and Ginrin Kage Showa. It's just madness. Harawaki, Pearl Ginrin, which is in Kohaku and Achiba. And I know I missed a shitload. Shisui, Kin Showa, you name it. For a small guy, it's incredible. But this is what happened. He's got great Deutsch Chiba, Ginrin Achiba. Fucking list goes on. What a boy. So yeah, that's him. Masato actually speaks English as well. He's just a fantastic bloke. So small place, very small place. Nisai will get battered. I pretty much say that a day or two after it's harvested, it's almost been obliterated. And yeah, the depth. I've never really gone in deep on his bloodline because I know a lot of it is now at the point where it's truly that is a Koda Goshki. It's his stuff. The origin of it is no point asking. The Ginrin Achiba is probably the latest one we had a deep dive on because it was a bit newer, and the 94 centimeter was it All Japan or ZNA? I can't remember. Something at a high level in Japan winning was just a phenomenal beast that's been developed from. So yeah, quality fish, healthy fish as well. They really are, and they offer a lot of diversity, and that's why I do a lot with the guy. I think he's fantastic, and one of them again who makes the time for you. Chris, I learned a lot this year from yourself, Ricky, but for next year, what would be your guideline on feeding as a hobbyist in a heated pond with good filtration, when to feed, growth and colour, etc.? To save me deep diving into that one, Chris, on the channel, Secrets of Koi Keeping, I'm sure there's a Buster video on all that one, mate. So probably go and have a look at that one and dive right into it, mate. Hi, Ricky. Can you explain how colour is affected by conditions? Is there a certain temp that suits all colours? No, really, Johnny, to be honest with you. And obviously light plays a big part with colour. But colour also reacts to stress, so stress can cause Sumi to fall off. Stress can cause Benny to fall off. It can cause it to not look so good. Diet will also play a part. It's multi-layered, getting colour up to the kind of standards you see, obviously, when I put my fish out and I've been raising them. But, light will probably ultimately play the very biggest part in all that. UV, you can overdo it with that stuff as well, just like you can underdo it. So, yeah, that's as much as I can give you on that one, Johnny. It's really a case of getting it right, but light exposure is the biggest one. Getting algae into the diet that grows on your pond walls, absolutely massive for it. And like I say, stress will play a part in how good that colour looks. Evening, guys. I made the EA style air bars the same as you did. Oh, that's in the fluid bed. Bar is 900, 350. It has 32 2.5 mil holes, 50 mil apart. It works great. The K3, however, has never moved properly with 3 airings in it. So what we're saying there is the air bar fixed it with the K3, or has that just never moved, or still not moving properly with that one, mate? Get that, look. Get your pre-orders in. I'm not sure you like what these is going to sting people, but I'm about ready to ask him to put some stuff into production now. I've made some final decisions on a few bits. Ricky, is now a good time to do my winter filter clean, or should I wait a bit? I don't like the sound of that, Susan. I'm not going to lie. Winter filter clean. What's involved in a winter filter clean? Because that's something that as maintenance that probably should just be being done all of the time. Might be more unique to your system. I don't know. So yeah, I can't really answer that one. No, Mark, it's highly, highly addictive. Absolutely no cure for it either. I tell you what, and this is problem. There's just so much variation of it now as well. It's become more infectious. My growing pond of them as well. I mean, it's just going powerhouse. It's ready for a thin out again. I think it's down to 55, and there's just no way. It's even with all the showers on and everything, it's struggling a bit. Hey, hope you're well. Can you feed your koi while treating with anti-parasite medication? I always recommend stopping feeding before, during, and like a day after at least. If they'll feed after that, then give them a bit slowly. But also bear in mind, depending what treatment it is, it could be having an effect on your filters. So be very careful. A few days with no food is going to cause no problems whatsoever. Ricky, can you share your food mix ratios, growth color, and pellet size? Yeah, Mark, pellet size depends on what batch of fish you're feeding. It's a bit of a cheat code I've got that as an example, the golden corn I've just spoke of, only just been moved on to Ikari medium, which is a 5 to 5.5 mil from small pellet, and then the best parts are 45 centimeters. So it's all about surface area for digestion because they're not the best at chewing. And I like that with the small pellet, you get a higher surface area up front, which is ideal. So that's really where I mean, above that now, they got to the point where it was just firing too much small pellet in, and that's why I wanted to switch to medium. But in relation to growth color mixers, it really depends again on where you're at, what fish it is. No more than 50-50 is really the maximum, unless if you need intense color enhancer, you go 100%. But as a general mix, if it's really warm and you're pushing them hard, 50-50, I would say no less than 25% color. So somewhere in that range. You just don't need to overdo it. It really just depends how intense it is that you're pushing them. Metallic fish and Deutz fish, you'd want to be using more at any point. The color just needs more support to keep it looking vibrant. Hi, Ricky. What do you use for water top up? I presume dechlorinator. I actually use the EA detoxers. I've always found them to be great for me with the levels of chlorine I have. It enables me to have one on every pond as well, which is what I like, rather than centralizing everything through. But our water is actually really not that bad where we are. It's been quite good. It is important with them that you kind of keep them vertically a bit more to allow it to actually push through the carbon bed properly. But it is high grade activated carbon in them. Where are the koi from that you get in places like Maidenhead? Joe, I know nothing about the Maidenhead business models, mate, so I can't comment, unfortunately, and I don't like to comment on other people's stuff either. Dan Bowler, hi Ricky, have you found that the mountain tree media which you added to your showers has had the impact you hope for? Would you be adding this to showers over a standard ceramic media? That's interesting because the golden corn pond, I would say right now, it's not had the impact that I was hoping for. I don't know if I need more in it. Might be the case with what I've gone for. The flow from the showers has had an impact in the ponds, that's for sure. And obviously the effect of kind of degassing from it will have. Lids are off them as well. But yeah, I'm still struggling to get that. That pond seems like it's struggling. I'm not quite getting to the bottom of it yet. And with all that capacity on there, I wouldn't have thought that would be the case. So maybe it needs a bit more time. Who knows? I have been struggling with KH in there a lot. It's been ripping it out. And that seems to be more since the shower went on, which surprised me because from the sounds of it, the media would potentially claiming that it might support it. might not be enough. And please remember, I pretty much break everything that goes in because the sheer stock, the amount of food that's going in there, it's quite remarkable. But yeah, I'm not overjoyed with the performance of that pond. I've got it running on another as well, and that pond's doing a lot better, in all honesty. So yeah, let's wait and see. I'm not passing judgment yet because it could be something that pond's generally struggling with overall. So let's wait and see. Nothing remarkable though, as if to say, "Fuck yeah, that's insane what that's done." What size pond would you recommend if you want a big koi, 90 to 100 centimeters? A big one is generally what I'd recommend. As many would argue, you can raise big fish in a small pond. Yes, you could, 100%. Could you raise them up to the standards that I know of in body volume and stature, as I've seen in Japan? I've yet to see it. Size is one thing, that volume and body condition is another. But generally, you want big fish, you want a big pond, 15,000 gallon, around that kind of capacity if you want to be keeping a fair few of them as well. This is my first year with a heated growing pond, heated to 18 degrees. What's the best sake food to use? Should I continue to feed growth and colour or move to balance? And is pure white worth it? Pure white's worth it depending on what you want out of it, Ed. The stuff works. Let me say it that way. Worth it is going to come down to a lot of different circumstances, mainly personal ones. Now, for me, if you're keeping it 18 is not a super growth temperature, so I would be looking more at balance than any of the other out of the Akari range at that point, mate. David, I have a heated pond. What temperature should I keep it at for the next 3 months before the coldest part of the winter, when I will reduce temperature right down to give them a short winter period? David, I mean, 18 is a nice conditioning temperature to be at now if you can keep it there. If not, I'd be looking to go straight down, or not straight down, sorry, but the next step for me would be getting it down to 12. So either or there, depending on what you want to do. With that one, mate. What happens to all the koi that don't quite make the grade? Joe, it depends at what stage of the process that is. If it's like the fry culling stage, a lot are actually depends on the breeder. A lot literally physically get culled. They might get turned into fish food. There's a lot of different stuff that happens. It's not going to be everyone's bag how it's dealt with, but there's a hell of a lot of fish comes out of them, let me tell you. So something has to be done. And then it's just at a point of what grade, there's all different grades then that are kept and just sold all around the world. Oscar, evening, Ricky. Since late spring, early summer, I've had my inside growing tank running, and I'm curious what kind of growth I should be happy with Fryborn. Fryborn this year, so it's going to vary. You would say, I mean, an average, really, 12 to 15 centimeters, 15 to 18, something around that, I think would be a good size from late spring, early summer. So see where you're at with that one. Can you get an ammonia spike in the winter when the fish are dormant? You could, technically, depending what you're doing. You could slip a bit of food in there too much and throw things up. Just because you've had a bit of sun one day, you might an horrendous KH crash could lead things to get a bit ropey. If it's super dormant, you're not touching it. It would be rare, but not impossible. I'm trying to recall. I'm sure there was an instance where I have seen that before, and it was pretty shit. Yeah, sleeping sickness. The primary treatment is salt and temperature. So we get the temperature right up. I'm just finding in this instance, I had to go a lot warmer. So the virus is actually active to around 25 degrees. Obviously at 25, their immune system's firing its best. They need the salt to around 0.6% because osmotic failure is a massive one in this. But actually in this instance, I ended up going up to 28 degrees on the water because at that point, I'm basically, killing the virus dead. That causes it. and it really did help at that point in it. What you do have to watch for then is secondary problems that come after bacterial, if you're not careful, and other parasitic ones throughout it. Really balanced food, because this thing just strips weight off them. So it really is a fine balance. In the early stages of it, they won't want to eat and they won't be digesting very well. But as quickly as you can, you've got to try and start weaning them back on. Because just otherwise, what it does to their body and the skinniness alone can cause a lot of mortality. Crikey, that seems ages ago. Look, let's get that. That's where we're at there with that one. Look, just got back down to it. That comment was at 7:13. That's mental. Yes, that shower. That's the reference there. Look. There we go. What a fish. What a fish that is. Let's get that one back. Right. Oh, that's Oscar's. I've just answered that one. There we go. Look, Mickey's an happy man with that one. How big will a normal sockeye fish farm kohaku reach in the UK typically, and what would be a yearly growth rate be? Rich, just the same as any, the fish is going to be governed by directly the female parent size, which in Sakai's case most of the time is massive. The lineage has got absolute history of massiveness as well, but some parent sets will perform better than other with growth. I've kind of seen it with, funnily enough, the name is Jumbo Sakai, and the fish I've noticed a lot of difference in belly and posture with them as well. So I mean, but then it's what's your pond set, what you're capable. Most of Sakai, 80, 85 is going to be there. The 1995s is still so case by case with fish. Sakai do it at mass because there's so many fish. There's so many big ones out of it, but then strip it all back to how many they're actually producing every year to get to that point. So, and sizes, typically you'd like to think Nisai 50-55, Sakai getting a more 60 and above, Sanzai 66. I'm just generalizing for all fish here. Yonzai up to about 75, then you're going to really drop off at that point. So a lot to it, but the potential is there in most of them genetically. That is the big part about this bloodline. There's a mass history and proven track record of big parent fish being chosen, being used, and big size being achieved. So that raw potential is there. It's more what you're going to do and just any limitations the individual fish might have. That's where an understanding of structure really comes into it. Current heat at 24 degrees. When should I start to lower temp? And what temp should I lower to? So I think your next step, Jason, you can start doing, if you're happy with the summer that you've had in the growth, look to start winding it down, wind the food down. Your next step's going to be get to 18. Let them have a period there at 18. And then look to get down to 12 if you wanted to go in cooler than that. Otherwise, just keep them there at 18 and a steady bit of food going in over the winter. Just covered that one. Hi, Ricky. How much were we expected to pay direct from Japan for koi, or are you going to skip this question like many others do? No, because that's, again, how that's such a broad question to answer. And the fact of the matter is, if we look coming at this of an angle of, can I cut all the dealers out? Well, no, the system just doesn't work like that. You walk into Marihiro's fish house, the first thing he's going to ask you is who you ship with. So at that point, that's that. And most shippers and exporters only work with dealers as well. So that's that. And then let's look at the process of actually being in Japan yourself as well. So say you've got a dealer who's willing to work on a commission of, say, I don't know, 20, 30%, I think is the sort of averages. And then you obviously got your shipping and whatnot. So you're looking at a fish, and yes, you will look at it and go, fucking hell, that seems cheap. I'm being robbed back home. Yes. So, I mean, we get into it. You've got that one cheap fish. Then all of a sudden you realize you're buying it on your own. So you only want that one. So then instantly you've got an absolute slab to go on top to ship it home. and you've got your VAT to pay when it gets home. And then somebody needs to quarantine it. If you're not, that fish needs picking up from the airport. There's yet more charges to pay at that point. Absolutely love it in England, don't we? And it goes on like that. You know, if you want to quarantine it, are you expecting the dealer to do that for his 20-30%? I don't think you should be doing, because that's completely separate. That was for arranging all the other bit to get it to that point. So, and then you do all that, and that's just that one fish. You know, to make that cost effective, that box, you might need to put 7 fish in it. Well, you don't want 7 fish. That's the way, and that's how all that goes. And the Japanese know it. That's why they're not prepared. They could quite easily just be doing it all direct, but fucking hell, it'd be chaos. So it just doesn't happen. So yeah, you will, you know, that base price, as with anything, you look at, I don't know what's sprung to mind here, but I don't know, the price of a coffee, you know, when you go and sit down in a nice coffee shop with a decent barista and all that, versus the price of the coffee beans. It's just, you know, from wherever they're from, it's just a madness to look at it that way. So yeah, there's a hell of a lot in the chain. So, you know, I think bit of love here for every dealer out there who does put all that money into putting on the spread, so you can just walk in and pick that fish that you want. And that's the realities of it. Even just alone. So let me take it right down to give you some idea, right? So there might be Nisai at Marihiro, for instance. You could walk in and on the absolute base of it, pay 100 quid out the pond. Fantastic. Yeah. The truck alone, if you don't get this on some kind of process, you need to have a truck. None of the shipping, anything else. There's a truck that takes every shipment from Niigata or Nagaoka, more so, to Tokyo, to the airport. That truck on average costs around £600. That's a fixed cost. That fish ain't looking so cheap all of a sudden, is it? It's a madness. And even with booking freight, how it all changed since COVID, especially, there's minimum amounts and stuff to all that. So it's yeah, that's it. There's no more to it, really. Yeah, they will always look cheaper on the face of it in Japan, but there's a hell of a lot to it all. So I hope that answers your question there, Simon. And no, never. I don't shirk questions. I think everybody's seen that for a long, long time. Can you tell me how to pick a good quality Shisui and which breeder is best for a good one? Kawakami Shisui are quite remarkable. Tanaka Kazuhiro in Takizawa, also another one that I like and enjoy. Kodas have been great. The best thing to do is go a bit lighter, is where I would be with that. Shisui naturally darken like a Sagi do. So whatever you're doing, go a bit lighter. Uniformity is not everything, because you've got different variations of Shisui, so go with what you like. The zipper down the back is quite an important one overall, you know, in top Shisui. So probably bear that in mind. But yeah, other than that, the younger they are, the lighter they want to be. Oh, Simon, you're coming after me tonight, aren't you? The UK dealers getting the fish in Japan, breeders don't want. So I once upon a time, I start doing YouTube videos and start using the word rejected and all that, because I am how I am and it just comes out my mouth. And I went through a period of getting some right shit for that, let me tell you. And then I went through another period of shit for basically saying, well, that I was being called out that I only buy, you know, the shit from the breeder. Never been the case. And then that I only ever sell the stuff I don't want. I don't know the statistic here, but let's just base it on what I know, right? So the breeder there's two types of koi in the industry. There's tatigoi and tatishita. Tatigoi, a breeder keeps because he believes it's got potential for the future to do whatever, become better, become more valuable, you name it. Tatishita is everything rejected. It's the rejects. The whole industry, doesn't matter who it is out there in Japan now, everyone's fighting to buy the rejects. I'm sorry if I'm losing, ruining some kind of illusion here, because every one of them breeders, every one of them harvests will still have his tatigoi he's taking out. Now, can you buy those sometimes? Yes, you can. You can get after them. You can get hold of them. It costs you. It really costs you, let me tell you. And I could say it because I've dealt in this stuff time and time and time again with my own cash, for customers, you name it. So everybody, the whole industry, 99% of being sold is technically a reject. The minute a breeder sells it to you, technically it becomes a reject. He's rejected it. He's selling it. It's there's no more to it than that. People want to frame it, do whatever they want. That's how it is. But obviously, in amongst that, the complexity comes in. There's levels of it. But yeah, that is how the industry is. Breeders keep their tatigoi for commercial reasons, for their own enjoyment. I've done that. So Suzuki one year had an amazing tanker Deutsch Go Sankey. And I looked at him. His prices aren't wild anyway. Just an old boy. And I thought, you know what? We were having a chat away. I'd picked some of his rejects. I was admiring these. I like, any chance I can buy them? And I looked at him, I looked at the tank. I thought, I could probably have a shot at buying all these. And in my mind, I'm like, well, if he gives me a price and he's happy, I'll buy them all. He gave me a price. I was happy. I looked at him, I thought, yeah, I'll buy all them. No. In the end, I ended up being able to get 10, I think it was. I might have pushed it to 12 in the end. And all that was, and I'm like, well, he's paying the price I was paying. Most of them wouldn't have fetched that at Nisai, because obviously the whole thing there of, again, the tatigoi game, 90% of what's tatigoi in spring becomes tatishita rejects by the autumn. This is why the most important thing you will do is just understand the koi that's in front of you and the quality level of the koi that's in front of you. Forget all the other fucking shit, because it's just not really relevant. If you're buying fish based on all the gimmick words, you're being led up a dark path anyway. But anyway, back to Suzuki. That was exactly that. I was like, well, why not? The guy's answer, this old boy, is, what am I going to do in summer? And at that moment, I backed off. I was fucking going to ruin the guy's dream. This little dream, he's going and feeding his mud pond in the summer every day, checking them, seeing what's going to come out. And at that point, I'm like, nah, because I get that. I can't do it. You're not wrestling with pure logic a lot of the time. It's very, very emotive, all this stuff. So, yes, sorry to ruin that for you guys, but I mean, basically, yeah, we're all buying rejects. There we go. I sell my rejects at some point. I sell the stuff that I'm keeping or growing on. It's understanding the level that's in front of you. That is the most important part. Can't stress that enough. Great questions, though, Simon. Getting me fired up. Oh, we've got another one here. Crikey. Evening. Why can't UK breeders breed the quality when they're buying the so-called best fish from Japan? I don't know if I've got another one in me, Simon. Crikey. The big thing there for me, that is just understanding. That is it. Obviously, I've done it this year. I bred koi in Japan successfully. My Miss Toyota shows. Breeding's complex. Getting pairing is complex. Understanding bloodlines is complex. How it all mixes. But the biggest thing, I think, in any breeder is the eye that they have and what they're seeing and how critical they're prepared to be. So I've even learned this year that compared with Fujo, as I've been doing my own selections, to really crack that nut in Japan, my level of discipline in selection has got to get a hell of a lot stricter. And so you've got that side of it. Just for one, they've got a natural climate, which obviously helps and pushes volume. But all I could say really is that point, and the investment in parent fish, the pool of stuff them guys have out there. You know, I've come a cropper with this year. So that Miss Toyota spawning, you know, I think I've shared this story a few times. Nogami, a long time friend, Sato Nogami, a guy massively respected. I massively respect him. Made me feel this big. You know, when he asked me the bloodline of my parent fish, being a Dainichi OB guy, she's a Dainichi fish. And I went, oh, it's, you know, Black Lisa. And he just looked at me as if to say, what have you just said? And then he's like, no, that's the parent. He wanted to go way deeper, way deeper. Like, you know, what fish have made that parent fish? So I can understand where they've come from and go even further than that. So obviously I got a massively high yield of a low yield of black fry in it. A lot of kohaku in essence and benigoi. So from him asking me that, I instantly asked Hiroshi, Dainichi Toyota, where Miss Toyota came from. And, you know, it comes back, it's Dainichi Buta, which is a strain to his farm, crossed with Momotaro, Showa, then Mona Lisa males. So you got loads there. But instantly when I knew that, from that bloodline, the history, not very close, but Momotaro Showa, Mako Showa, were formed by crossing kohaku, Mako kohaku, with the Showa that they had produced. So, size-wise, there's some fierce genetics in there, but there's kohaku blood that would be more so potentially in that bloodline chain than in a typical Showa chain, than say in that Dainichi Mona Lisa line, you see. So that's the real understanding. I've had 2.5 decades now of just sheer love for this stuff, passion drumming it into my head, my eye for selection, my skill, my biggest forte is being able to select and see potential in such small fish. I think everything's there, and it's probably not well practiced enough, but the ability that I've had even this summer to go and sit with a guy who's already spent a shitload of time doing another variety and picking up on the nuances of it, as that they've got that learning pool out there. And I think the community spirit of being willing to help each other really helps push them all on. Then you've just got some of it's just generational, you know, passed down, parent fish, bloodlines, you name it. It's, different gravy. Oh, crikey. I'll tell you what, I'm going to have to wrap up, guys. I can see there's an absolute shitload there to tackle still. I'm so sorry. Blame Simon for that one. Got me ranting, didn't he? Ricky, looking forward to the Mr. Toyota event. Yes. Any idea when I'm going to see the fish? Yes, when I harvest them. Makoto's told me it's going to be after 26. So that is when I'll be there for that and sharing it with you. Hi, Ricky. Do you still think there's going to be a personal touch with the younger breeders in future? I don't know, because they're now being brought up in this more new, modern, younger world of it all. So who knows? I would say likely not. I could just see it probably getting more and more commercial. Because if you look at the guys I actually have that rapport with and spend that time with, they're all it's all the old boys, you know. So let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. Hopefully by then it won't be too much of a thing, because I'll have enough of my own stuff going on. But yeah, madness. So Kenny, there's some good quality UK breeders. Just look at Rick from New Forest Koi. Yeah, agreed with that, Scrag. I'm not even answering that, Simon. I don't deal in fry. That's not how Japanese game works, mate. And I certainly won't waste my time selling them either. Let's have a look. Just having a quick fire through now. Rad, NND, Mud Pond, event harvest, yes. So that's going to be sometime in that period, just after 26 as well. Lots to do there, mate, for that one. I do have another question. Can direct sunlight affect Benny and Sumi quality, especially on a Deutz koi? Yes. Again, too much can damage it. Not enough can damage it still. So 100% there with that one. Limba's question there on feeding for parasites. I've answered that earlier on. Susan's, oh, that's back to that deep clean of the filter. Yeah, I'm just so I'm not seeing that, Susan, because I can't think of, commercially we might want to be doing deep cleaning for sure, but I don't. I think if there's elements of it you're having to deep clean to the point where it actually needs it, then you probably need to alter something to prevent that from happening, is what I would say. Let's see. I'm trying. If it's anything like, I was going to say that my wife could be watching, though, my version of Christmas shopping, she would just say I don't do it. So I might get slapped when I get home. But if it is anything like my version, I'll be releasing them 2 days before Christmas. So be about right, ain't it? New fish room looks mint. Yes, it is looking fantastic. This is my tropical fish room in me garage. I'm getting a great deal of enjoyment from it, indeed. And nice to see the rooms keeping ambiently early morning around 22, building up to like 25 in the day. Absolutely loving it. Loving it. Will you or the guy? That'll be me, Mickey. I will be there, mate. 100%. They know they're a no touch unless I'm there. How big do I think I get them to? Let's see what size they are, and I'll be able to work it out. Plus, Bill, don't forget, obviously, when I normally put size predictions in the mix, it's fish I'm used to. I don't actually know 100% where these are going to go. I think they're going to exceed average expectations with growth, looking at what I've seen so far. Evening, I have Costia and a fry pan and used Alpha X, but still have it. What would you recommend? If you've still got it, you might just, if it's a fry pan, you've got to be careful here. You might have a weak population that's possibly feeding the Costia, so be mindful of that one. You might want to switch to Malachite and formalin. Like I said, be careful. Right, ladies and gents, I'm sorry, there's too much more there. I'm not going to get it all done anyway. So apologies at that one. And yes, thank you. Oh, sorry, I've just seen from Craig. Fucking too right. I'm feeling that one right now, Craig. I really am. Yeah, you know, loads to it anyway. So there we go. Right. Thank you very much for everyone who's tuned in. Great numbers again this evening. I'm going to say I'll be back next week. I can guarantee you nothing right now with how it is, but trust me, I am gutted when I have to let you down. I'm even gutted the channel's not pumping the level of videos out at the moment. So all will be resumed soon enough, hopefully, and plenty of exciting stuff to come. I'm absolutely fucking freezing in here as well. So enjoy the rest of your evening, ladies and gents, and I will hopefully see you again here very, very soon.